All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Han. I'm an engineering lead at Stripe. And today, I'm excited to tell you about how Stripe is building the payments foundation for tomorrow's AI economy. Now, Stripe is not normally thought of as an AI company. Our mission is to grow the GDP of the internet. And we do that by building critical financial infrastructure that allows people to start and grow their businesses worldwide. But innovative and rapidly growing industries like AI need to be able to move fast as they're just getting started. But they also need a partner that can scale with them as they start to grow exponentially. So things like our ability to provide self-serve onboarding and our ability to scale to billions of dollars in transactions every single year are some of the reasons that many of today's key AI companies choose to work with us. We're proud to support some of the leading AI companies today, such as OpenAI, Anthropic, Diagram, Moonbeam, and NVIDIA. And over half of the Forbes AI 50 currently uses Stripe. These companies and many more have used our platform to quickly scale their products globally to customers around the world. Now, you might be wondering, how hard could it possibly be to charge somebody $20 a month? And you're absolutely right. It's not that hard. So if you're going to do that, but you're going to start out with just plain payments processing, it's actually quite simple. But what you'll find as you grow globally is that you'll soon have to think about tax considerations in many jurisdictions. And then you have to figure out reconciliation for all the payouts that happen in all of your entities. Next, as your business grows and your business models get more complex, you're going to need more sophisticated billing models. For example, usage-based billing. And with that comes complicated revenue recognition and more sophisticated analytics. And before long, you've got a big spaghetti mess of payment systems inside of your stack. You're no longer able to move as fast as you previously could because it takes months to make any kinds of changes, months that your engineers could have spent working on your core product. And all of this is available on Stripe's platform, ready to use out of the box in a single unified platform. This is why OpenAI is using us not only for payments, but for our full suite of products. For example, from our revenue and finance automation suite, which includes Stripe Billing, Stripe Revenue Recognition, and Stripe Tax, which has allowed them to go from charging people just $20 a month to more complicated billing models while staying compliant with tax and accounting obligations worldwide. To Checkout and Link, which provides a pre-built and highly optimized payments page that has resulted in 40% faster payments for OpenAI. Now, if you take a peek under the hood of our platform, you actually find that Stripe uses ML and AI in a number of ways. Most visible is in our product, Radar. This is our transaction risk scoring product. We started almost 10 years ago with very simple linear models. And over time, we steadily iterated to include more advanced models, for example, decision trees and random forests. Eventually, we moved to a custom transformer-based model in 2022. And you see a diagram of it here on the right, where we have custom features that are being designed on incoming payments. And then that's being fed through various kinds of embedding models in a transformer. And then finally, generating a single risk score for every single transaction that goes through Stripe's platform. We also started to use ML in other parts of our products, for example, in identity verification. Deepfakes and other kinds of manipulation are huge concerns for us. In order to offer our self-serve onboarding features, we have to be able to verify identities and documents in almost 50 countries where we allow signups. And this means dozens and dozens of different kinds of documents that we have to be able to verify very, very quickly. So we use ML in all kinds of steps in this process, from being able to detect manipulation in ID scans to determining whether the selfie is actually a selfie of the person that is trying to get verified. And so this is a critical but invisible part of Stripe, because mistakes here can mean millions of dollars of losses. Now, a couple of years ago, when LLMs first started gaining traction, we, like many of you, were very excited to experiment. But we were also concerned about the data security issues of using a public web application. So, to encourage bottoms-up experimentation safely, a team of 3 engineers at Stripe built an internal LLM chat experience in just 3 weeks. And in a matter of days, over a third of the company had been using this product. Over time, we started to extend the functionality, where you can do things like tune the model parameters, select different kinds of models. And we even have an internal version of GPTs, where you can have pre-configured presets that you can then share. And so you can see in the screenshot, of course, one of the most commonly used GPTs is how to choose the right emoji for your Slack messages. Backing this product, we also built an internal API that allowed any engineer to build LLM-enabled applications at Stripe. And today, there are over 60 live applications that power both internal and external use cases. As we got more experience with LLMs, we wanted to find ways to work them into our user-facing products. And so we started out by figuring out how LLMs can reduce the barrier to entry to some of our more technical products. So Sigma is our data analytical product, where you can write SQL queries and create custom reports on all of your payments data in Stripe. Now, not every business analyst is going to be proficient in SQL, nor will they necessarily have the time to learn all the ins and outs of our schema. And so with Sigma Assistant, you can simply ask your question in plain language, and it'll help you author the SQL query for you. Radar, in addition to having a transaction scoring model, also has a capability to write rules, where you can block certain transactions using a domain-specific language. But fraud analysts may not be able to learn all the ins and outs of that DSL. And so our Radar Assistant does something similar, where you can explain in plain language what kind of transactions you want to block, and it'll help you author those rules, and then you can backtest it using the tools that are already available to you in our product. Another area where we wanted to deploy LLMs was in finding the right documentation as you're getting started with Stripe or as you have operational problems. When I started at Stripe 5 years ago, I was on the professional services team, and I worked every day with customers that were integrating with Stripe. Back then, I knew the documentation like the back of my hand. No matter what the integration question was, I knew exactly the link or the page that I should send users to find the right answer. But as Stripe's product suites have grown and our products have gotten more complicated, it sometimes feels like today that I'm seeing new documentation that I've never seen before every single week. And so it's gotten much harder to find just exactly the right piece of information that I need. So to solve this problem, we built a retrieval augmented generation system, or RAG system, that powers multiple use cases. And so you can see it here at work on our support site, where somebody is coming here with a question about their payout. And instead of having to find the right support article, they can simply ask the question, we'll generate a summary, and then direct you to the actual page where you can look for the specifics about how to find the answer that you need. So this is live in production and generally available, and it's been used by thousands of people. Not only has it increased our operational efficiency, it's been incredibly well received by our users. The docs version of this is actually on our docs site. So you can try it out today at docs.stripe.com. You simply go to the site, type in what it is that you're looking for, and it will generate an LLM summary and link you to the pages. Looks like the animation is actually frozen, but I promise you it actually works if you go try right now. And so with many RAG systems, it'll generate the summary, but then direct to the actual sources so that you can verify and then get the details about what's going on. Okay? So how did we build this system? Well, we didn't just glue a UI on top of a model. We actually spent many months iterating on how exactly the RAG pipeline behaved to ensure that the results were accurate. So here we have a high-level diagram of what the architecture looks like. On the bottom left, you have our document database, which includes all of our docs and our integration guides, which are then fed through an embedding model to power a document database. On the top right is where questions from our users come into. And with those questions, we generate the embeddings and find the most relevant documents from our database. And then finally, all of that is fed into an LLM that generates the summary and provides you with links to the references. As we worked with the system, we wanted to focus on minimizing hallucinations, because a lot of these documents deal with integrations. And if you get your integration wrong with Stripe, that can mean very costly mistakes. So what we found to minimize hallucinations was that getting the context right was absolutely key. We first released early versions of the product to small numbers of users, and then we collected lots of data about what questions were being asked and what responses were being generated. We then leveraged our internal experts to repeatedly review this information that we were collecting and tweak the way that the model was behaving, or this pipeline was behaving. The things that we found that worked really well were several things. Number one were custom parsers. Instead of simply feeding the documentations through the embedding model as is, we had to find ways that chunked the documentation into smaller parts that were more digestible or more relevant for some of the queries that were coming through. Additionally, instead of relying on simple document similarity on the vectors, we used a hierarchical index and expert guidance to figure out how we should find maybe documents that were more relevant or more highly ranked. Some of the challenges that we encountered as we were working on this product, number one was monitoring, evaluation, and debugging. How do we instrument this entire architecture so that we always knew what was going on and had good observability throughout the product lifecycle? Number two was feedback loops. What kind of data should we collect, and how do we make sure that we can debug issues as they come up? Now, I've spoken to some AI companies that are a little bit concerned about collecting what their users are prompting, maybe for PII considerations or other things. But what we found is that you absolutely do need to see all of the prompts and the responses that are being generated in order to properly debug and improve your models. And then finally, consistency. So at the end of the day, LLMs are still probabilistic models, and so the results that we're getting are still never quite exactly the same, despite the same context. End to end, it probably took us close to a year when we started thinking about this product to actually rolling out in production as generally available. And so we'd love to hear how some of you have tackled these similar problems. So what's next? We're just at the start of the AI journey, and it's clear that there's lots of potential to bring these tools to bear on all kinds of business problems. Instead of just summarizing documents, can we use LLMs for higher order functionality? So for example, could we build an AI coach that has access to your payments data in Stripe and then actually help you think of ideas to grow your business? To power these kinds of new models or new use cases, what kind of innovative architectures will we have to deploy? We've already seen the evolution from simple prompting to RAG-based models to now more and more multi-agent systems where you have LLMs actually interacting with each other to accomplish a workflow. And so what kind of new models will people think of to achieve those outcomes? And then finally, even though we've all been anchored to think about LLMs as chat-driven user experiences, are there other ways that we can embed LLMs into delightful product experiences that are not as obvious? Like you, we're very excited to be working with these technologies, and we're constantly building into the space. I've only just shown you a tiny portion of what we've been working on, and we'll have much more to show you later this year at Stripe Tour in Singapore. We've just opened signups today, so please be sure to scan the QR code and secure your spot today. Thank you.